Some of you have probably figured out I'm not the typical kind of pastor. In other words, I don't live on a little house on the prairie, and I'm certainly not Reverend Alden. In fact, if I'd been Reverend Alden, I'd have thrown Harriet Olsen out of the church. So I really don't buy into this whole Jesus was a hippie and the disciples lived in a commune and these guys walked around just giving everybody group hugs and singing Kumbaya. By the way, I hate that song. So, when Team Biden now says we all need to just come together, nope, sorry, not happening. Now, some people will try to say, but Pastor, the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. The Bible also says, live with all men peaceably. Finish the verse. As is possible. And some people make it absolutely impossible to live peacefully. See, when the left says, let's all come together, what they want you to do at that point is not only surrender your opposition, but you are then to embrace their agenda. And it isn't that they just don't want you speaking against it anymore. You now have to speak for it. You now have to promote it. It's an issue like abortion. It's not enough that they want you to stop talking against it. They will expect you now to be for it, to affirm it, to even state that you now affirm it. See, so you have to understand that when you're talking to liberals, it doesn't matter what words they use. They change the definitions. They will use jargon. They will use terms like America and patriotism and the Constitution. Understand that with a liberal, it has a completely different definition and meaning. For example, they will say if you're a patriot, you are actually a racist, you're a homophobe, you're misogynistic, you're a xenophobe, etc., etc., etc. They change the definition. So when they say we need to come together, they want you to surrender your rights. They want you to surrender your, ready, diversity. Because we can only be diverse if we're all the same. Now Hollywood doesn't understand why the conservatives stand in opposition to the potential of a Biden administration. And you know who gets it? Matthew McConaughey gets it.
There is a lot on that illiberal left that absolutely condescend, patronize, and are arrogant towards that other 50%. Many people were I'm sure you saw it in our industry when Trump was voted in 4 years ago. They were in denial that it was real. And some of them were in absolute denial. And even now, we're going to see if we can stabilize coming out of, looks like Biden's our guy. Well, now you've got the right that's in denial because they're saying it's fake news. And I understand they've been fed fake news. No one knows who the hell to believe, right?
Now, immediately, Twitter blew up yesterday, and there were people from the liberal left saying, that's not true. That's not how it is at all. Really? Let's take a little stroll down memory lane, shall we?
I am a nasty woman. I'm not as nasty as a man who looks like he bathes in Cheeto dust. A man whose words are a diss track to America. Electoral college sanctioned hate speech contaminating this national anthem.
He's a bad example of this country, this city.
This unbelievable narcissist who could change the face of our world.
We're human beings and citizens before we ever became actors, and it's up to the citizenry to speak out.
Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
But I like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
He's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot.
Here's the big difference between Robert De Niro and Matthew McConaughey. De Niro is at the end of his career. I mean, let's be honest. The last big movie that he made, The Irishman, the only way he could pull it off was Martin Scorsese had to hire a team of IT guys to digitally make De Niro look younger, which in actuality, if you've seen the movie, as far as movies go, great plot line, and again, Martin Scorsese, he knows how to nail a period piece, in particular one about the mafia. That seems to be his genre. But all of these guys that went through this digital euthanization, honestly, it looks like the graphics of a really bad video game. I'm not kidding you. I was embarrassed for Scorsese. But that said, De Niro is at the end of his career. He is a has-been. His latest feature flick in the theaters, War with Grandpa, it's awful. It's not funny. I can't even imagine what it costs the studio now because, I mean, De Niro, though he sits there and he talks so tough about what he's going to do to the president, as if he's trying to, channel every mafioso he's ever played on the big screen and try to come across that he really is that wannabe tough guy. In actuality, he's as feeble as Joe Dementia Biden. I'm sure it takes a team now of stunt doubles to get De Niro through a scene where all he's supposed to be doing is sitting at a family dinner table having a meal. Oh, De Niro's drooling again. Quick, get the body double in here. I can't even imagine what it costs Hollywood now to have to put up with Robert De Niro, and he's over. And the mouthpieces in Hollywood that are the most vocal, they're the ones that, their careers at best are B movies, or they're like Alyssa Fathead Milano. They're dead career walking, and the only way they get any attention, any media hype whatsoever, is they tweet something or say something outrageous about Donald Trump. And from the beginning, Hollywood rejected Trump. That's why they rejected going to the inauguration. They would not help celebrate the inauguration of Donald Trump. It's the reason that the president in 4 years hasn't done any of those award shows from the Kennedy Center with any artists, because they all boycott. And every award show that they throw themselves, from the Grammys to the Emmys to the Oscars, it's one speech after another of who can out-insult Trump. And even though their ratings are tanking, they insist, oh, no, the public loves this. No, the public doesn't. You have actors like Ben Affleck who've said they don't want any conservatives of any kind ever watching their movies or going to see them for any reason. Fine. And here's how stupid these people are. First of all, they don't know what to say unless somebody else writes it on a piece of paper and tells them, here, say this. They're actors, which means they are pretenders. They really don't know what to think because they're used to somebody else thinking for them. But here's how really stupid they are, as they line up behind Joe Biden, as they line up behind Dr. Fauci, as they make their stupid videos from their own homes about, we're all in this together, we need to quarantine. Well, that's pretty nice to say when you're living in a $2 million house, fully stocked fridge, you have your own personal cook, which can make any meal taste like you're dining at a 3 to 5 star restaurant. Wow, thank you for lecturing the rest of us. Hey, you've got indefinite funds to draw on while things are shut down. And there you can sit in your house all day and work on your art and, most people can't do that. And right there in your own state of California, you've got a lunatic governor combined with a lunatic mayor. It is a mirror image of the other coast, New York. You've got lunatic Cuomo and lunatic de Blasio. But over there on the left coast, it's lunatic Newsom and lunatic, what's the mayor of Los Angeles? Garcetti. Outdoor farmer markets can be open, but outdoor dining can't be. And all of these restrictions and these shutdowns and the shutting down even of Hollywood. You understand that in all of these Democratic strongholds where they are really hyping up the hysteria over the corona flu, the coronavirus, the Hong Kong flu, you do understand you're killing your own industry, right? Has that dawned on you while you're lecturing the rest of us on civility and how we ought to be rallying behind a guy that's not even the duly elected president, Joe Biden? And you need to check out my next monologue for that. You're killing your own industry. You haven't even thought that through. Movie theaters around the country now are shuttered. And the ones that are open are barely open, and they can't get anybody to come sit in there because their governors, even if it's an open state, have people scared to death that if they sit next to someone, they're going to die. The other night, my wife and I went to see a new release, The Last Veneer. Great movie. Excellent movie. Of course, now you have to, pre-buy your seat. Because we have to maintain social distancing. Okay, so we do. We go into the theater that probably seats, 400 people. There are only 2 other people in the theater. That was a crying shame. Those 2 people happened to be sitting in the very seats my wife and I bought. And as we moved into that aisle, they were apologetic, and they were actually several rows back, but thought that, because we get there just before the movie starts. I don't sit there through all of the, I don't mind the coming attractions, but all the stuff that they do now, like aim your phone at the screen and play the game along. Oh, shut up. I want to get my popcorn. I want to sit down, show me a couple of coming attractions, then let's do the movie. So we get in just as the coming attractions are starting, and they thought nobody else was going to be there, so they moved down. They said, we're sorry, we'll just move back. I said, listen, we're not afraid of the flu. If you want to sit there, if you don't mind us just sitting right next to you, we're cool with it. So the 4 of us sat together, and we're not from the same household. And you know what? We didn't wear our masks, and we didn't pull them up in between bites of popcorn. In fact, I didn't wear a mask at all, even when I walked in the place. Usher came in at one point, kind of looked at us, didn't say anything, turned around, walked out. But Hollywood, you've killed your own industry. And by the way, if you think, well, we're just going to put it all on Netflix and all these streaming services, yeah, we'll see how well for you actors that actually works out financially. By the way, you can't watch a big production with all kinds of great special effects. It does not play the same on a TV screen or your cell phone as it does on the big screen. But hey, Hollywood, you want to lecture us. And the left wants to lecture us now on coming together, and how dare you insinuate that Joe Biden is not legitimate. He's not legitimate. And McConaughey has said, we have been fed so much BS and fake news, nobody knows what to think anymore. Of course, I'll tell you what to think in the next monologue when I outline for you the Trump strategy moving forward. That said, let's not forget that 4 years ago, it wasn't just Hollyweird coming out in opposition to Donald Trump. The political world did too. The Democrats never accepted the legitimacy of the Trump. It was somehow the Electoral College did something, and that's how Trump got in there. It had nothing to do with the will of the American people. They couldn't believe that their election fraud failed them. And by the way, they did cheat in 2016. What they didn't do was put a full court press on like they did this year. They just assumed that their normal cheating in the big metropolitan areas would be enough. But it wasn't, which is why the counting stopped on election night for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours until about 4 a.m. The Democrats had to figure out how many votes they were short in these other areas, and this time they were ready to make up the difference. That said, from Russian collusion to never-ending investigations to even a sham impeachment, the left, the Democrats, never accepted Donald Trump. In fact, even Mad Maxine Waters, right from the very beginning, I will not go to this president's inauguration.
Well, let me just tell you, after I discovered who Trump is in the way that he conducted himself. I was never going to go to the inauguration. I never planned, I never contemplated even going near any of those activities or those events.
But now we're all supposed to kiss and make up and be one big happy family. Let me quote you my other favorite verse found in the book of Marty, chapter 3, verse 7. No, we're not going to come together as one big happy family, especially while we watch our rights being systematically taken away from us in the name of safety and freedom. It's not free. Listen, if you want to live in a place where there's security and you're guaranteed free meals and you're guaranteed free housing and you're guaranteed being taken care of, just remember, in all those guarantees, there's no freedom because you're in prison. Hey, that's it for this rant. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel because they're unsubscribing us. Make sure you check me out on Parler. Subscribe. Make sure you have smacked the bell and clicked the word all to get notification of my next rant.